Let's welcome in to the Lucky Lefty podcast. Brandon Wimbush, former Notre Dame.
What's going on, guys?
How are you feeling?
I'm good, man. I appreciate y'all having me. Shaun, it's nice to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you.
My brother, it's always good to see you, man.
Man, the mogul himself, B. Wimbush. Hey, look, Red Army is always flourishing in some areas, so I'm glad to see you doing it too.
Always. I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate the love for my basketball game. Like, it was like there was just never this type of reception and love for my hoop game when you're in it, right? Like, people didn't appreciate my 4 years, Malik. Like,
we're not giving you no credit till it's after the fact. Not when we're all playing.
Right. It's like LeBron. You got to appreciate the greatness when you have it there. So
yeah, we talked to former shooting guard for Notre Dame, Rex Pfluger, on the show last night, and the question that was posed to him by one of our listeners was, name a guy that played basketball that could have played for the football team. Mm-hmm. And then name a guy on the football team that could have played in the NBA or in the NFL, vice versa, right? Yeah. So his two answers were literally Chase and Brandon.
Yeah.
He was like, I felt Chase and Brandon both could have played basketball at a high level. And then he said Demetrius Jackson.
Yeah.
Because he was like, yo, people don't understand how strong Demetrius was. He's a local kid, grew up loving Notre Dame. He was like, Demetrius definitely could have played football for the. And Rex said he actually thought about walking on 1 year.
I think he did. I think I had that conversation with Rex, and I think this was maybe freshman, sophomore year, because him and Matt Ryan, Malik, if you remember Matt, who came in with me in my class, they weren't getting a lot of PT, Shaun. So. Your mind goes elsewhere, even on the football field. Like, if you're not playing your first and second year, you're like, all right, what else is there out there for me? For me, it was like baseball. It was like, should I go pick up my glove again? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, no, man. Like, I take the credit, right? I appreciate that. But like guys like Mike McGlinchey, Roddy Stanley, like those guys were skilled big men.
They were really good.
Yeah.
Like, Mike's feet was so good in basketball, and then like in the beginning, we're like, why is the feet not looking like basketball? Mike, he be trying to look stiff, but then he like figured it out. But man, Mike was him and Bonnie were just spectacular.
Talented.
So, Lucky Lefty podcast, let's get right to it. Let's go back to the beginnings. You talk about your time in New Jersey. You came on the scene with your performance at the Elite 11. Mm-hmm. You commit to Penn State. Let's start right there.
Yeah.
Ultimately, what led you to the decision? Because most people, they decommit and then they take their time and take visits and ultimately come to a decision. Your decommitment literally came with a commitment to Notre Dame. It was like, sorry, Penn State fans, I'm decommitting. I'm committing to the Fighting Irish. What was that entire process like?
Yeah, man. I mean, recruiting in overall has changed so much, and I wasn't one of those guys who was social media heavy, but I appreciated everything that came with the process and being able to meet a lot of those coaches and go through that entire thing. My mom loved it, as Malik knows. Like, our moms got along, but she loved that process. She enjoyed it, and meeting guys like what's his name, James Franklin. Right. And then the opportunity to go play for a black coach obviously sparked tons of interest, being that Coach James Franklin now had assumed that position at Penn State. But then I just took a visit. Actually, I had played Bergen Catholic on 9/11. Right. Bergen Catholic's one of the best programs in the country. I'm going to give a shout out to Jersey football, Malik. I think it's right up there. I think it's right up there with Ohio football and the best of the best across the country. You got Bergen Catholic, St. Joe's, us, right, Don Bosco. But we played Bergen Catholic, Shaun, on 9/11. I threw for 5 touchdowns, ran for 1. It's kind of like a coming out, if you will. The quarterback coach at the time, for Malik and at Notre Dame was Matt LaFleur, who's the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. He had called me up that night, Shaun, and Obviously, he had watched the game on live television, called me up and said, I want you to come out and take a visit and see the campus. So that's exactly what I did. I think like the following week, or once I had my bye week, it was the Stanford game in 2014. And even though it was rainy and cold, I still fell in love with the campus, fell in love with the guys, being able to meet, Malik and the rest of the quarterback room. I enjoyed it, man. And then it was a really quick decision. I knew academically there was more to offer there, right? And I just felt that I'd put myself in the best position for life after ball, choosing Notre Dame.
Now I remember, Brandon coming up with his mom, meeting with Matt LaFleur at the hotel, because it was like the game. They came to the hotel night before the game, and Coach LaFleur was at the little bar with his mom. He's just like, this is Malik, talk about da. And I just could tell, like, his mom, I love his mom. She was just so into whatever we were saying. It was like, I like it. Yeah, we can do that. And, Brandon just, being the calm, cool, and collected guy, I couldn't really tell if he was like, like his mom was, but he just was like, okay, Brandon, you just always like okay, I got here. I'm gonna just take my time. That's your demeanor, which I always had a good feeling after that first time. But for you, looking at just the landscape of it, what was it for you that pulled you to because I know Penn State's situation probably was a little bit better situated than what we even had at that point.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was Trace McSorley, if you remember, and they weren't like high on him, but look at him now, right? He's had a decent career, played a couple years, and then there was the Notre Dame quarterback room, which was, like 3 or 4 deep at the time, right? With you, Everett, Shaun, who they were high on. Obviously, Gummy was there, and then a couple other guys, but I don't know. I just thought. I thought more than football, right? I think everybody who chooses Notre Dame thinks there's more than football to life, and I wasn't really worried. I wasn't one of those guys who was like, all right, I'm gonna go here and redshirt and be upset. Like I wasn't one of those guys who, felt the need to go right in and play right away. I thought there was an advantage to being able to sit back for a year or two and learn, which is exactly what happened. And kind of see things unfold and go through the ups and the downs, which is exactly what happened. And then I just, went into my 2017 a little bit more mentally prepared than a lot of guys do at age 18. So I kind of had that perspective going into it, man. And that's why I wasn't really, deterred from being a part of that quarterback room.
Now, that recruiting class you came in with, and this is why we talked about this 2 days ago, right? How you really can't trust rankings. Because the ranking was like 13. But when you start going down the list of players, you have Brandon, Alizé Mack, Dak, Sean Crawford, Jerry Kelly, EQ, Asmar, Miles Boykin. Dude, that class.
Underrated class.
But you know what? Like, you can't trust rankings because our number one guy and the number one center in the country, who's a good friend, Tristan Hodge, had transferred. Like, remember him? Like, he was the start of that class, Malik. Like, he had committed early, went in early through the spring semester, like, recruited me. Like, he was the guy. It was tough for him. Yeah, like a tough experience, man. But obviously, he's doing really well, thrived at BYU. But I'm just saying, like, the stars and the recruit numbers, it really doesn't mean anything. But yeah, we had a hell of a class. No doubt.
Yeah, that was a hell of a class. So you talk about that. Let's go ahead and talk about what you're doing with MOGL.
Yeah.
The NIL, and I don't know if you've seen like what the Notre Dame football team is doing. Talked to Rex Pfluger last night. He said the basketball team eventually is going to get involved. He was just in South Bend this weekend. What are your thoughts about the Irish Players Club? And where will NIL be in 5 years in comparison to where it is today?
Yeah, that's a good question, Shaun. But at MOGL, first and foremost, what we've created is a safe, reliable, and compliant tech platform that allows college athletes, all athletes, to connect to brands and businesses for marketing opportunities, to maximize name, image, and likeness opportunity. Founded for athletes by athletes. We have multiple members of our team who are former collegiate athletes, competed at high levels. And we're ahead of the space, man. We're pioneering this whole NIL space, and it's really exciting for me as a former college quarterback to be able to, to play in this space. Where I think this industry is going to be is more geared towards giving athletes equity opportunities, and professional development and career development opportunities. Yeah, the one-off social media posts are going to be great, but can we connect our athletes, especially at the likes of the schools of Notre Dame, to internship and externship opportunities, so they can expedite their professional development. For us, our platform, we obviously hope to have that holistic experience for the athlete. That means being able to source those one-off sponsorship and endorsement deals, sell merchandise, create, mint, and sell your NFTs on a MOGL-enabled marketplace, connect with alumni for internship opportunities, right? Kind of that entire NIL experience, if you will. We want that to be able to run through MOGL. Irish Players Club is run by a friend, Mick Asaf, and the Yoke team there. And he's got a head on his shoulders that he's always forward thinking. So it's good to kind of be in the same space with him and kind of compete at that level, knowing that Mick's always has that one step ahead kind of mindset. So but we're obviously right there with him. I have a very innovative partner and team. And we're excited about the team that we've built around the two of us to help us, win this space.
Now, to get an understanding of the MOGL, is it a marketing scheme? Like, you have agents that you're signing kids, or is it more of like a resource center? Like you talk to transition for guys after they get done playing, they transition through the resources of MOGL. Because I thought the Yoke, when you talk of the competitive space, is it competitive because of the guys you're recruiting in that area, or is Yoke just NFT based?
Yoke is a lot, man. You got to ask them like how they would want to identify their company and what industry they're playing in, because they've done sponsorships, they've done NFTs, they've done gaming, right? E-gaming. They've done a good amount, and they always do it well. And but we are a open marketplace, Malik. So we're not signing athletes. We are a tech platform resource for all athletes. There's 500,000 athletes. We want all 500,000 on our platform. We're not signing anybody to any exclusivity like agency clause, Malik. Like, we're not like a Wasserman or a CAA or an Athletes First, where you're bound to our contract and you have to give a % of your deal. That's also another key factor, is we're completely free for all athletes. So, I'm not opposed to the agency model, obviously, but for college athletes today, it's definitely beneficial to weigh all of your options before signing to an agency where you have to give up 15 to 20% of any marketing contract that comes across your desk. When there's a platform like MOGL that brings you the similar, very similar or better caliber deals, and you retain 100% of those deals, right? So our economic model, just for the sake of it, is we charge a surcharge, a service fee of 20% to the brands, not to the athlete.
Makes sense.
What do you say to those that are skeptical of the NFT market right now?
The NFT market, personally, I feel really comfortable with the NFTs and that whole kind of Web3 space. I can obviously learn more about it. I think anybody who's skeptical about it should just do their homework. I think, Malik and I have a mutual friend, and Shaun, who's helped me kind of, get an understanding of it. And then there's so many resources out there, man, that I think if people really want to learn more and not just kind of rely on their, innate understanding, then I think they would, gear and lead more towards, all right, this is a growth opportunity. There may be an investment opportunity for me. And then for athletes, like there's a lot of people doing really good things in terms of educating athletes on the Web3 space. I think that's exciting. I think you guys could, dive into that with a net. I can connect you in a network of people who are looking at athletes as creators in this Web3 space and the power and the empowerment that it's providing athletes.
What's it like, being now that you have taken on the entrepreneurial, the business outside of
Trying
school?
to be like you, man.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride for me, and knowing what I've been through, and just speaking on your journey, especially going through football, making that transition for yourself to even be on a forward thinking thing like this NIL tech platform, which is still, it's still growing. Like you say, you're pioneering something that nobody can really see the vision of just quite yet. But what's the quarterback Notre Dame lifestyle been for you with that?
It's been great. I'm the chief athletic officer here, so I oversee everything that involves the athlete, and we have close to 3,000 athletes currently leveraging our platform. So it's very a highly receptive platform across all athletes, not just the quarterbacks. And that's something that we've been really, really excited about, is that we've been able to facilitate deals. For 80% of the deals that we've been able to generate have been for non-revenue generating athletes. So from lacrosse players to hockey, to women's track and field, those have been the athletes that have succeeded on our platform. And we're stoked about that, because those are, that's 98% of the college athlete population there, right? So we sought out at the beginning to find a way to provide value to those athletes. But for me, it's been great. Like it's an inevitable way for me, Malik, to connect with these athletes as I DM them, as I have face-to-face events on their campus. Like they feel a sense of trust with me, having 2 years ago being just removed from college sports, playing quarterback at the highest level. So they know, there's so many other competitors in the space that have 50-year-old men or women running companies trying to get into this space, but they just have no understanding about the daily lives of these college athletes. So they can't build a product, they can't communicate, they can't, to do things in favor of the athlete.
Now, is that what the tour is about? I see you going to different cities and you're speaking at these schools. Is that kind of what this is? Yeah. Kind of get people warm to the idea of MOGL?
100%. I think that's one of our best acquisition methods is getting to these campuses, having athletes see us face to face, right? Because we're doing so much, as on a daily basis, that somebody hits me somewhere, even on the DMs, what I typically do for acquisition. But if I can be face to face, or if we could have been face to face with somebody coming to Goog and they're explaining to us their product, I think it's a more effective way of acquiring somebody. And then we're here in Austin, Texas. Obviously, it's a grand market for college sports, specifically UT. So we're here not just for promotion of to acquire athletes, but for a pitch competition. South by Southwest is one of the best and biggest pitch conferences in the world. So that's MOGL's a finalist here, but we're obviously baking in the relationship with the University of Texas athletes.
Now, Notre Dame is very. Go ahead, Malik.
Yeah, it's crazy, the maturity of Brandon that you get to see from just the football playing days. He's talking straight business, straight facts. Really made a great transition from Notre Dame to the business life of things. But the way you talking, I'm just wondering, do you miss football? Is football still would you go out there and play a little turkey football on things?
It was like Kobe, though. Kobe said he never missed basketball because he got everything he got from the sport. I didn't play 20 years in the NFL, but I graduated with guys like you from Notre Dame. That's a world-renowned education, and got to play some of the best football there is to play in the world. I feel like I feel like I'm better than a lot of people that are playing on Sundays. As you,
there we go. We just wanted to see if that was still in there.
I always say, I'm typically very, very modest human being. I scored 30 touchdowns in a season. I don't care how you score 30. If you score 30 touchdowns, you should touch a field on a Sunday. You should touch one field on a Sunday.
Yeah,
if you score 30 at Notre Dame, you know what I mean? Yeah. You get it, man. If you throw in 20 for 20, if you throw in 21 for 24 for 300 yards against Texas, I'm here in Austin right now, but you should be playing. You should get a play on Sunday.
Yeah, you should get a shot. You should get something. Shit.
I'm just saying. You got me a little hype, but
well,
I had to see. You know, I know it's still in there because Brandon's a competitor. As modest as he is, he still got it in him. So
yeah, man, this experience has been very fruitful and great team around me supporting me, and so I was listening to something and it was like, how do I move on from this? But it's not. You don't want to be moving on. You want to be moving forward from that experience. From you take your quarterbacking days and you've obviously learned from them, Malik, and you use that, right? You bring that along with you, but you move forward from those experiences and it helps you build.
That's right.
Yeah.
So since you opened the door, I'm gonna go ahead and kick it in. You opened it. I'm just gonna go ahead and kick it in. Because I talked to Dex, and Dex was like, "Yo, I agree." I said, "You guys had the talent to average 45 points a game easy."
Yeah.
You guys were averaging like 36, 37, but it should have been 45 easy. And he was like, "Yo, I totally agree with you." And I said, "What was it?" I asked him, I said, "What was it? Was it just the inability of the coaching staff to commit to the system that would allow Brandon to operate at his best? Or was it just something else that things just didn't click the way they should have on paper?"
Yeah, I mean, I always take, I always internalize things like this, Shaun. So for me, it was, there's a combination of both. There's always a combination of so many different elements, internally, externally, mentally, at the quarterback position, physically, so there's just so much that goes into it, man. Performance-wise, like I'll look internally first again and say, like, yeah, I didn't perform the way I wanted to perform, some of the time, but did I think that I was improving and we were winning and like everything that was necessary to continue to play? I thought so. So, and then as far as I think we were held back in some regards, and some people weren't on the field that could have or should have been on the field. Who makes those decisions? You just kind of never know, but it is what it is. We're here today.
I mean, it all comes down. I mean, if you really, it comes down to, do you feel like you got a fair shot at it? Because I mean, you make the most out of your opportunity. Because once you get to that level, it's just, if you get in, you better just make the most out of it, because you don't know who's gonna do what, or what's gonna happen.
Yeah. Who's on your heels? Exactly. Exactly.
So the one thing, and Malik, you can answer this because you had a similar experience. Both of you guys kind of share a similar experience. When you're the guy, shouldn't you feel like at some point that it's your team? And I know that sounds cliche, but at some point you have to feel like, this is my squad. I'm the leader. Follow me. But it seems like the direction that most quarterbacks, this is what I've heard from a lot of the people that have covered Notre Dame in the media over the years. They've used the word regression when it comes to Notre Dame quarterbacks. Like, they pop on the scene, and then as their career goes on, they either level off or regress in their play.
Mm-hmm.
For that to be a trend with multiple quarterbacks, most people will say that that's the culture. What would you guys say to that?
I would say that there's a certain level of commitment that needs to be made, that you can feel comfortable in a space where you operating so much. So when you finally get the chance to be the guy, it helps when you got that, okay, the people making the decisions got your best interest all the time, sometimes.
You can't do that at the college level, man. You can't. You don't know that.
But that's not true because, okay, we give examples of careers. You know, you look at a guy like Tommy Reese, even towards the end, he still had that ability to be I know I'm getting in at some point.
Gotcha.
I know whatever's going on, it don't matter because I know that the hand is going to just put me in there and I'm going to have a factor of it somewhere. And then you look at guys like Ian, who I don't think he was thinking about anything other than beating Clemson, Alabama at the end of the year for 3-4 years straight. So you can see how when a guy gets comfortable, he can hit a certain potential in his talent. Does he hit the max? I mean, I think Ian probably squeezed the most juice out of the orange out of probably the most out of the last 4 or 5 guys that have been there. But it showed, though, through those years, it wasn't no controversy. It wasn't no we don't know. So that confidence had to give any quarterback, and not just Notre Dame, but anywhere, that confidence, okay, I can grow in the right direction because you're fighting too many things when you're trying to get better. And that's a lot for a young guy to go through when they're trying to play at the top level, you know. So
yeah,
it's a lot that goes into, like Brandon said.
Brandon, did you ever get to a point? Oh, I'm sorry. You can go ahead and answer the question. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Shaun. I think Malik hit it on the head right there, man. So
did you ever get to a point? Was there a bookmark in your career where you felt like, okay, this is my squad. I'm playing efficiently. I'm ready to go. And then what happened after that point, if you indeed did feel like?
Not really. Like early on, I guess, like 2017, I was slated to be the starter, and they weren't really given. So rankings came into play. I guess you would say, and then obviously we spent 2 years together, Ian and I, before the 2017 season, and then I was slated to be the starter. It's just given my experience, where I was at, mentally I was prepared. So I felt good there, and then later in that 2017 season, things started to kind of take a take a turn for the worse, if you will, and I guess the confidence just wasn't all there. And then I come back in the spring, have a really strong spring season, and I go to Russia, which is like kind of weird.
See, that's your problem. You like Jared. You just going like, where are you going? Like,
I don't know why I went to Russia. I don't know. But
see, but that's what Brandon bought in. He bought into everything. He didn't just go.
Was Russia just a random trip?
You know what I'm saying? He didn't just go to Notre Dame to go through the buffet line. He gonna go and do the sightseeing. He gonna go to the gift shop. He gonna go to see the animals. He ain't just going for the one thing. So that's.
That might have been my problem because some people were just here, But no, I come back in the summer. I'm still feeling confident going to the season. We're 3-0, and then just I guess things just took a turn, and so never really got to hit my stride. I feel like if it was got to a couple more games in the 2018 season, you continue to win, you continue to dominate teams, then that's kind of when I would have, but.
Did you look around the landscape and the way college football was evolving and say, man, why can't we do that?
Yeah. I mean, as far as like, what do you mean?
You watch guys like Shaun and Lamar and the schemes they're putting in to emphasize what they do well.
Yeah, I mean, there's I guess a good amount of complacency, if you will, in terms of like what's being run in the offense, and there might have not been a lot of innovation and ideas flowing and creativity, which obviously can hold people back. So it is what it is.
Now, I am interested because a lot of people say a big turn obviously was the Miami game. But for you, was there in your mind what was going through it before the game started and then just after?
Oh, he was about to run him up, man. What do you mean?
Yeah, but like everybody has a different.
Miami game day. Man, don't even bring that shit up. But
before you get to the game, Dex told us a story about when you guys actually arrived at the stadium on the bus.
Oh, with the like bottles and joint.
Yeah,
yeah, it was hype. It was hype.
He was getting glass broke on the bus, and man, it was crazy. And it was like walking into a club. They'd be like, throwing beach balls around and bottles and screaming and horns. I mean, it's a club, and so you never have a bad thought about a game. Like, you prepare so frequently and so much, and you feel like you never think you get beat 38-3, throw 2 intercept. Like, that's never on your mind. And when people ask me, I'm like, what you think? Like, I wanted to come in here and dominate. We was playing game day. And
I'm saying that I'm thinking that it wasn't you that was like the reason why. It was like you.
Yeah, it was so tense.
Play the game, and then the people helping you with the game ain't helping you. So now you're looking around like you ain't giving me no options out here. You're
making me feel the same. You know what I mean? You're radiating this energy.
Right.
That's not what I need. I need to be free flow. You know how I am.
That's right. That's right.
And yeah, so the outcome was the outcome, though.
It's crazy that a lot of people, you say you don't win a game in the first quarter. That pass you missed to Stephenson by inches.
Yeah,
probably would have changed the whole
dynamic of the.
I think it was EQ.
Yeah, EQ. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
It was EQ, but yeah, that's a But I also missed a shit ton of passes. So we.
But they tell I know how you feel, man. They got you running 50 yards down the field. You get up, they're like, all right, let's just run this whole pass play. And you're like, all right, let me just get together for a second. Like, let me catch my breath. You want me to get back here and start reading plays.
You try to drop back. You tired dropping back.
Yeah, it's like what you eat? Like, of course it's going to eat shit. Of course the ball's going to eat shit for a little bit.
Right.
If you got me running read option 15 times in a row, like, come on, you're not helping me out. So I get it.
we was keying at end because he, like, the way he would play the read option was very unique, and so it was a very minuscule. Like, if you see his numbers right facing down the line of scrimmage, then you pull it. And so he was just not that smart, didn't adjust a lot of the time. So there's a lot of consecutive pull reads.
Yeah, you're tired. Like, I don't,
pull reads and they were fast, man. They were fast.
Absolutely. Now talk about the rebirth. So, we similar paths a little bit. Now you go through the season, okay. Second recruitment, it had to feel good because I know the phone was ringing off the hook. What's the second time around like for you? Because for me, I was like, this is pretty refreshing. It's like high school days almost, trying to take visits, do this, that, and the third. You land in Florida just like everybody freaking else. I don't know how that happens. But what was that second time around like for you when you was going through it?
I think very similar, man. And I hope no other Notre Dame quarterbacks end up in Florida. Very refreshing. I think the transfer portal had just kind of, picked up a little bit of steam. I wasn't really a part of the transfer portal. If you're obviously playing quarterback at Notre Dame, you were highly recruited and have a lot of coaching connections across the country. So that wasn't like, that was never in the thought process. You know what I mean? As like, let me go in the portal and see what happens. It was, okay, I know this guy. Right, I had Tommy and Coach Kelly actually help me out, make some connections.
They'll help. They'll definitely help. I ain't gonna lie.
Get you out of there.
Help. I'm not going. At first he didn't want to help me, and then he was like, I gotta,
Yeah, they were helpful for me, and so I think very and my unfortunately my grandfather was on his last leg, and so he was down in Florida, as Malik, in West Palm. So it was kind of like a timing thing that just felt right. UCF was also winning tons of games, and the quarterbacking situation with Mackenzie Milton. So it was a good kind of window for me to get in there and play immediately. So I figured it was a good right choice for me at the time.
How quick did the locker room vibes change from a Notre Dame to a Florida locker room? I'm not even going to say UCF or University. I just think all Florida locker rooms just become instantly different than a Notre Dame locker
Oh
room.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
what was that
I knew
like?
I knew a bunch of the guys. They loved you at Florida though, because I knew a bunch of the guys at Florida too. Like even after training and whatnot. But yeah, no, it's a complete 180 shift from just culturally, but you try to adapt, right? I mean, you also try to lead, but you try to adapt with what's going on there. They were, had successful couple runs.
A bigger football focus. You're not talking about too much MOGL down there.
No, yeah. Yeah, he wasn't talking about MOGL at all.
Yeah, he's talking about networking and going to Russia. No.
No, it was ball. Cool sometimes. They were good about it.
That's
but
right.
It was fun. Like you had way more fun.
So that style of football had to be different too for you, because you're like, this is like vacation football almost. Like we just out here like on the practice.
Right. And things weren't run like like a CEO or so. But no, it was a good experience, man. You get to see two different locker rooms, open up your horizon, right? Spread out your horizons, kind of be with different guys. Kind of tells you what's to come in the real world. It was good.
Everyone that I talked to says that we really played for each other. And I commend Malik offline all the time. I'm like, look, talking to you and talking to everybody that's played in that era between 2012 up to the point of 2020, the brotherhood is real.
Yeah.
Like it's real. And I haven't had the opportunity to be around a lot of other players from other programs, but just speaking to most of you guys really just kind of closed the ranks. And within the program, we're like, look, we got each other.
Yeah.
We're playing for each other.
Yeah.
And the fact that stays with you all to this day, I tip my cap to you just like I tip my cap to all the rest of the guests that have come on our show and say thank you as a fan base for the blood, sweat, and tears.
No doubt.
And the enjoyment that you gave us for the time you were at Notre Dame.
I appreciate that. That's definitely unique. I don't know about you, Malik, but that was definitely unique about, I don't know what it was, man, but like.
You could hang out with everybody on the team. Like you could go to anybody on the team's house.
Wasn't like that though at others. Like I get to view those different perspectives.
Yeah, and it's not like that you couldn't like go over your other teammates' house or nothing. It just like, it was more clicked up. It was kind of it was like, dang, it felt like high school, like almost, with that. But I do think that is now that you're in the NIL space and everybody talks about, oh, we would have been millionaires if it was going on during our time. Right. Now that you're doing it, what would you do right now as a quarterback at Notre Dame? You got the MOGL thing set up. You're going through that platform. How much money you think you would have really got now if you was doing that?
I think we would have been. I think just playing at Notre Dame, man, we would have been between 50 and 100K a year, like easy.
You talking about easy? You talking about easy?
I'm talking that's little. That's small. Because of what we're seeing here, and some of the deals that we've been able to facilitate. But what I would have done, like where I would have started, was like, let me look internally and internalize like how I can make myself more valuable and more marketable to brands. So for us, obviously there was so little locally that would, do anything from a sponsorship standpoint. Like I don't even know what, but for us, it would have been more national. It would have been more alumni getting involved. That was where the value, comes from. So it was, I think I would have been able to attach myself to a couple brands and kind of have run with those sponsorships and make myself, you see Brandon Wimbush and he's about this, like this is his brand alignment. This is, kind of the vertical he wants to stay in. I think that's what's going to go a long way for a lot of these athletes.
What were the brands that would have aligned with you though? What brands do you think you would have been attracted to? Would have been apparel, fashion?
That would have been fashion. Brandon is so fast now. He go, Bob Diaco and Brandon Wimbush, two fly jersey. scarf on in the summer, you know.
Yeah, I think I definitely would have dove into the fashion or like the athleisure kind of space. I'm trying to think. Maybe something like there's a couple of like marketplace that do a lot of like art. There's a lot of art marketplaces that are out there, art companies, art galleries. Like I don't know. I don't even know how you could you promote those things just in the typical way. But there's so much out there that we're seeing. And then being a part of the business school at Notre Dame, there's so many finance and tech apps that are out there that are getting into the space that I think I would have definitely been able to align myself with. But I think the big thing for athletes today is like you start to think about those things at 18 years old rather than at 23 or 24 years old when you're just leaving school. So it kind of expedites the growth process for you from a professional and career standpoint.
Finish this statement for me. The most talented team during my time at Notre Dame that I played on was
2015 has to be.
Oh,
I told you that year
I
was
thought he was gonna rock the 20.
Yeah, that's Malik's year too. That's it.
2015 is a crazy year. Just the talent level is just
2015 is a crazy year. And then
it had to be something in the training table or just something in the air because the combination of all the classes, we were all like pushing each other. We knew this was a big year for a lot of guys. So
2015, then 2017 was probably next, but crazy
year. 2017 undefeated year, right?
No, 2017 was the 10-3.
10-3 year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the 3 losses in 2017, I say the Stanford loss was more painful as a fan.
Okay.
Miami loss is like, all right, game day. I just felt like you guys weren't there as a fan.
Yeah.
Just watching, I'm like, okay, they weren't there.
Right.
I don't know what it was. They weren't there. The Stanford game, I'm like, okay, 2 losses, we can still get a nice bowl. And to lose to that Stanford squad, I'm like, come on, man.
Right.
Like, there's no way we should have lost to that team at the end of the year.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Stanford's always tricky too because they play a really solid game and they play they're very, very cerebral, as you would imagine, in their approach. And sometimes like schematics, they might have a little edge on you, but I don't know. It was a tough one. I don't even remember that game, to be honest, that much. It's just one of those that it's kind of just goes under the radar for you. I can't really speak on it.
So what's your thoughts on the vibes, man? Marcus Freeman. A lot of people are talking about things being changed. He starts a legacy program and connects with older players. We've seen video of former players like Wes Pritchett for the 1988 National Championship team saying this is the first time he's formally been invited by a head coach to the blue and gold game in 35 years. Just talk about the vibe, the excitement, and have you had an opportunity to actually speak with Coach Freeman?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super, fired up for the team. I think everyone sees the reception that he's garnered from the team. That locker room video I think is amazing. Being on campus, I haven't been able to connect with him yet, but being back on campus and seeing the excitement from even the students, like that's what really is kind of keep me inspired. And then I've been able to speak with a bunch of the guys on the team, and although they've said it's kind of a different feel, different culture because they cleared house, right? It's only Coach Freeman, and then Matt Balis, but like those are pillars. Those guys were 2 pillars in for the Irish for the last 2 years, and then obviously Coach Balis for the last however long he's been there. So there's obviously a change of culture, but they feel so strongly about what he's going to be able to accomplish, and I just feel that way just vicariously through the rest of the team.
I think that's the turning point, in terms of bringing a fresher perspective. You just feel more comfortable just going back up there, even if it's bringing like a MOGL. You want to do an event or something, it's definitely a feeling that you can go do it is possible.
Yeah.
And speaking of that also, there's a lot of these coaches and a lot of people that are crying about regulations on NIL and having a cap maybe to what players can earn or whatever the case may be. Do you see there being regulations that need to be put on this NIL business?
That's a like yeah. Not as far as like maximum on earnings. I just don't think that's also never been done for any other type of influencer at any level who can make money, right? That's not a thing. So for us, it's our team really stays close to the ground, has our ear to the ground in terms of development on the regulatory kind of landscape and how that's playing out. There needs to be some more structure in terms of oversight and enforcement. That's where we want, that's where we want this thing to go. That's what's going to benefit MOGL. That's what's going to benefit athletes and not getting them in trouble in terms of how they're engaging and who they're engaging with. And then the inducement component, right? Like, let's not start paying athletes, $10 million to come. Like, there needs to be some type of structure before we see like just the entire structure of the NCAA and college sports just go, erupt.
I just feel like there's just no. I mean, you look at a guy like Caleb Williams, who successful at his last school, even though coaching changes took place, decides to leave the school, shop around for a bunch of deals, and somewhere, and then
shopping
stacked up. Is that? But to some people, they would be offended by that because they're like, why would you even leave? You just had a great career at Oklahoma. You got everything you want in front of you.
Yeah.
Like, but then again, for a MOGL standpoint, that's probably what you want. You probably wanted many players that have the resources that could get sponsorships like that to basically transfers or go look for deals in the offseason, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, it's not I really haven't really thought about, that, so to say, so much, but like, the benefit we get from athletes transferring is that if they're a part of our platform and on our platform at Notre Dame, and they transfer, they're a part of our platform and they're getting deals wherever they transfer to, wherever they land. You get what I'm saying? So there's just an awareness factor that we kind of look at as like, okay, great. This kid transferred from Oklahoma to USC. He's going to be promoting MOGL now at both schools, essentially. So,
okay.
So for us, we land in two different spots. The value and the awareness again starts to build for us in different geographical locations. So that's kind of what excites us about the transfer side.
The awareness that Deion Sanders has brought to the HBCUs, how has that impacted how those athletes at those institutions are looked upon as far as endorsements and brands connecting to them? Is it more of an opportunity now that he's shining the light?
That's a great question, Shaun. We have one of those examples right here in house. We have an equity partner in one of their dual sport athletes, Malik Weidman. So he's a big part of.
Malik, he's an overtime guy.
He's overtime guys. Malik knows dunking on guys.
Yeah.
Making big time plays both on the basketball court and the football field. So for us, he's in house. He's representing our HBCU kind of growth side of our company, helping us acquire athletes within the HBCU, realm.
Like he's getting paid to help recruit.
Yeah, he's a part of our company, right? Like we see him as a long-term partner, and obviously his brand, right, on the field goes a long way for what we're doing. So that's been exciting to see. Deion, if it weren't for Deion, I don't know how much of its attention it would have been on, HBCUs and the Jackson States of the world. So I'm grateful that he's there. I'm grateful that the HBCUs are going to, start to get some of these top recruits and, start to spread the wealth a little bit.
Are you shocked at the disparity that existed before a guy like Deion said, yo, we have to do better, challenging the NFL, challenging, top players around the nation to give HBCUs a chance. Were you shocked that the disparity got as wide as it was between the big time programs and the HBCUs?
I just wasn't aware, man. Like, we just weren't aware. So, like, to be shocked wasn't even a thing. It's just like, oh wow, there's this is what it could be. Great. Yeah. Like, let's keep pouring into it. But we just, especially where we were,
by the time you look up, it's 4 years. You done. You
laser focused. Yeah. You have no, especially you're not competing against them. My brother went to FAMU, so that and that was really the only reason. When I went to play at UCF, we had played them in the first game. That was really the only reason, that I even understood what was going on that level in regards to sport. But yeah, man, there was just no time to be surprised about any of the gaps that was going on. But I'm glad again that some of the television, some of the media, and a lot of this NIL activity is, shedding light on what's going on at HBCUs.
Especially the legacy and the history of Hall of Fame, Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
elite guys that came from HBCU programs.
Yeah,
to see it back on the rise is truly a great thing to see for the culture.
Absolutely.
So, what have you been listening to lately? What is driving from an artistic standpoint? What are you reading? What are you looking at? As far as binge watching something on Netflix or
I've been very into my partner's gonna probably laugh, but like stoicism, like or Malik's gonna laugh. But that's kind of like where my mind is, man, is kind of growing personally. Business wise, there's so much that's out there, but I listen to the podcast from the CEO and chairman of the Morning Brew, who I really admire his path, Alex Lieberman. It's called The Founder's Journal. So, there's just kind of like 12-minute nuggets every morning. I'm also reading right now how to focus. It's called Deep Work, right? It's how to focus in a very distracted world, I believe is the kind of the subcaption. But there's so much, man, and it's just me trying to grow personally, right, and expand my mind and how I think about things.
That's dope, because I know for myself in this time and space, and I'll be out in LA with Malik next week, and we're going to chop it up about this a little bit, but I'm in this space where I'm learning to choose wholeness over functionality, because I think in life, a lot of times we will accept certain things and just learn how to function in the midst of that chaos, rather than taking the necessary steps to actually achieve unto wholeness, being totally healed from certain things, rather than just dealing with it and allowing it to stay in our lives. So, that's what's really driving me. So it's good to hear that that's what's driving you as well. Malik, where are you at?
Yeah, man, I'm reading some good stuff too. I actually have a book. Let me get it real quick. Maybe you want to check it out, Brandon.
I thought Malik had leveled up quite a bit with that background.
Oh, look. Oh, you thought that the grand piano. Yeah, I mean, it's there and sometimes it's not, You know how it goes. Anyway, I got a book right now I'm reading called Compelling People. I don't know if you get that on there, but Compelling People, you should check it out. There you go. Compelling People, you should check it out. It explains what the it factor is, explains, more about communication, like you're saying, just growing and developing as a person. And, I think of being a compelling person, especially as a quarterback at Notre Dame, and translating that into the business world and just your everyday life, man, you'll see how it grows in a lot of different settings. So I've been reading a little bit of that. So the reading, man, I think I've done more reading out of school.
Yo, crazy. Like, I don't think I finished more than 2 books in school, but
not at all.
The last 2 years it's been at least 10 to 15 books.
Seriously.
Is that a seed that being at Notre Dame kind of sows, though, that you start to reap the benefits of it as you get older and you get outside of the game?
Yeah, I think you just start to you kind of succumb to the way of the people around you. And if they're doing this type of stuff, then you kind of like, all right, shit, I got to get on my A game.
Yeah.
It's that taste too, especially when you go in there for 4 or 5 years, 3, 4, 5 years, and then you leave, and the level of people that you was around, like Brandon was saying, you either going back to something that wasn't that, and you're like, man, I need to, you see the difference. You see the difference of maybe expectation for yourself, because people pretty motivated at Notre Dame. It don't take a lot to get somebody going in terms of where they want to go. So when you leave that setting, it's like it kind of carries with you as like, okay, I know somebody's working and I know what it looks like. Right. So I got to, continue my getting better, if that makes sense.
My growth, yeah.
Well, we're having Brandon Wimbush on with us. We appreciate him giving us some time this Thursday evening, as always, featuring and brought to you by Onora Whisky, OnoraWhisky.com. That premium American whiskey, OnoraWhisky.com. B-Win, before we let you go, I need your starting 5. Have you seen the movie Think Like a Man?
Yes.
You remember when they were playing basketball and the other guys wanted to use the court, and Kevin, Hart gets to talking crazy. He's like, no, we can take them. We can take them.
Yeah, I think so.
Give me, if you were in the gym and NBA guys were on the other half of the court and they said they wanted to run against you and your Notre Dame teammates, give me your starting 5 you would love to have rock with you.
All right, so Chase, Ronnie, Mike.
Yeah, easy choices.
Those are easy, right?
Easy choices.
That's
4 or 5.
NBA 5 though. I mean, that's NBA 3.
Especially a D1 5 already.
Yeah. Banks.
See, I haven't seen Aaron Banks play. He's
nice.
Aaron Banks is nice.
I haven't seen him.
That's 3 big men though. Right? That's me, Chase, Mike, Ronnie.
Sounds like New Edition.
and Banks. You said it sounded like I'm an addition? Nah, that's 5.
Sounds like you would do a New Edition. You said Ronnie, Mike.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You had the whole crew. You had the whole crew right there.
Nah, that's 5 right there. That's an NBA 5, man. I'm telling you.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, so.
Now, was he in the gym, Malik, when you got dunked on? By Doug Randolph?
I never got dunked on. So
that's not what Amir said.
I don't remember this.
Yeah, exactly.
You hear this story?
There's nothing to remember because it's just a story. That's right.
See, I have to find somebody else to corroborate Amir's podcast. I have multiple.
Maybe Pro-Sites was in the gym.
No, that's funny. No, it's the hooping definitely was more legendary when my first couple years there. But I think as the years grown on, the rules got a little bit stricter. Things wasn't as loose as it was when I first started, and coming off the Michael Floyd years, the Tommy Reese years. So
right.
I think it's more interesting now how it is.
Well, man, B, we appreciate you for joining us, man. We look forward to having you back on sometime soon. Let people know where they can follow you. Of course, they see your Twitter handle right there at WinbushB7, but let them know what you're going to be doing in the near future as well.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having us on. I need me an Onora if Malik wants to send me a bottle.
It's definitely coming down there.
But yeah, we're here, man. Moguls at again South by Southwest Pitch Conference, hoping to win some money, but more than that, just looking to network with some phenomenal entrepreneurs, investors, executives, and everybody who's involved in the startup space. You can follow us on IG at get.mogul. That's at get.mogul. And then we're on Twitter at the MOGL app. Obviously, we're all on LinkedIn. I think my Instagram is Brandon Wimbush, so you can find me there. But we're all over, man. We're looking forward to connecting with anybody who's listening, wants to get involved in NIL, especially, there might be an alumni base here in Malik. We're excited to reel that demographic